So this passage from St. Paul's letter to the Galatians is getting deeper into the conflict that Paul had with mainly with the Jerusalem church, which then roped in Peter and even Barnabas into this ethnic conflict in the church. And so basically what's at stake here, and like, boy, I could just do like an hour on this, so I gotta kind of keep it simple. So what is at stake here is that is whether or not there's going to be, in a sense, two separate but equal groups of followers of Jesus Messiah, in a sense, and maybe not even equal, but just definitely separate. That is, there'll be the Jewish followers of Jesus Messiah who remain ethnically Jewish and maintain those marks of ethnic distinction, and the Gentiles who will follow Jesus, but as far as the Jerusalem party and then Peter and Barnabas are concerned, that they will follow Jesus kind of on their own track and kind of do the best you can, Gentiles. You're on your own. We're going to do our thing. You do you, and we'll do us. And for Paul, this was totally unacceptable. Totally unacceptable. That the Messiah died in order to create a new humanity. For Paul, that was the point. The point of Jesus Messiah's death on the cross was addressing a humanity problem, a deep humanity problem, and solves the problem for all of humanity, not just Israel, but for all of humanity. And Jesus' resurrection is a victory over death that makes, again, a new creation, a new Adam, in whom all humanity has a new life. And so if we live in different camps, then basically what we're doing is we're pretending as if Jesus hadn't done that. That's what Paul means by then the Messiah died for nothing. Right? In a sense, if we live in our ethnic divisions and all these human divisions, and it's ethnic in the letter of the Galatians, but if we live in our divisions, then we pretend as if Jesus didn't die for the sins of the world, that his death had no meaning. And if his death had no meaning, then his resurrection has no meaning. And if his resurrection has no meaning, then we are dead already. And so none of it makes any difference. So that is the profound importance of eating. And so this word that Peter was used to eat with the Gentiles and now he doesn't. This is about the Eucharist, because they weren't just, in a sense, eating like having snacks. This is about the eating that is going on here, is the coming together as one family in which the Eucharist was the culmination of those common meals. And to eat with one another was to behave as family. So if you didn't eat with each other, it's basically, we're not kin to you. And Paul says basically, but if we're both kin to Jesus, then we have to be kin with each other. And that's the challenge of living out the gospel. And for Paul, the gospel makes a concrete claim on our behaviors. It makes a difference in how we live. It makes a difference in how we see divisions. Do we see them as natural and unavoidable, and maybe we try to mitigate the damage? Or do we see them as completely unnatural, as something that will not be in the life of the resurrection, and is therefore something to be addressed with the utmost seriousness in our life as followers of Jesus? So that's what's at stake. I could go on, I can't, but it's I commend you to read it, and that's really, it is this basically this failure of to put it to put it flippantly, it's like this failure of a dinner party gone wrong, but really it's a church service that went wrong. It's the splitting off of two different churches that occasions the entire letter of the Galatians. And so then Paul's going to go on to describe the power of Jesus's crucifixion and resurrection and what that means for us as his followers. Let us say together a reading from St. Paul's letter to the Galatians. When Cephas came to Antioch, I opposed him to his face, because he stood self-condemned. For until certain people came from James, he used to eat with the Gentiles. But after they came, he drew back and kept himself separate for fear of the circumcision faction. And the other Jews joined him in this hypocrisy, so that even Barnabas was led astray by their hypocrisy. But when I saw that they were not acting consistently with the truth of the gospel, I said to Cephas before them all, if you, though a Jew, live like a Gentile and not like a Jew, how can you compel the Gentiles to live like Jews? We ourselves are Jews by birth and not Gentile sinners. Yet we know that a person is justified not by the works of the law, but through the faithfulness of Jesus Christ. And we have come to believe in Jesus Christ, so that we might be justified by the faith of Christ, and not by doing the works of the law, because no one will be justified by the works of the law. But if, in our efforts to be justified in Christ, we ourselves have been found to be sinners, is Christ then a servant of sin? Certainly not. But if I build up again the very things that I once tore down, then I demonstrate that I am a transgressor. For through the law I died to the law, so that I might live to God. I have been crucified with Christ, and it is no longer I who live, but it is Christ who lives in me. And the life I now live in the flesh, I live by faith in the Son of God, who loved me and gave himself for me. I do not nullify the grace of God, for if justification comes through the law, then Christ died for nothing. The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God.